Hello, everyone. I'm here with Dr. Shenitzke. I'm going to be asking her a few questions. How's it going?
Excellent. Thank you.
So, tell us, what is your role at Saddleback?
My role at Saddleback is as psychological health services supervisor. So, what that means is I oversee the psychological services provided to the Saddleback College students. I work under the umbrella of student health and wellness. And the psychological services that we offer include psychotherapy as well as psychological assessment. We provide diagnoses, maybe for students who are seeking academic accommodations and don't have a verified diagnosis, and crisis intervention for students on campus who might be experiencing some sort of mental health crisis. We can intervene and assess in that manner too.
Wonderful. That's awesome. Um, so how do creative endeavors impact mental health, do you think?
I think they can impact mental health in a number of ways. For one, I think creative endeavors can really improve mood. Doing something that's enjoyable can often either decrease depression or anxiety, things like that. I think art can be a very powerful way to express some of our inner processes, maybe even memories. Therapists sometimes use art therapy, sand tray therapy, other creative endeavors, even yoga and theater, right? Theater type work to work with patients who maybe have experienced trauma or things like that. So I think art can be extremely healing and therapeutic.
Yeah, for sure. I've definitely experienced that myself, so that's amazing. Um, what are some pitfalls people in creative arts should avoid when trying to get their art produced or sold?
Yeah, I think whenever we're sort of putting our work out there to be produced or sold, we're feeling like a sense of, judgment. Someone's judging me. And I think, that's probably kind of human nature and inevitable. But I think what we can sort of help a little bit to alleviate that is to number one, I think it's important to kind of recognize that as an individual, we're made up of many different parts. And you might like to think of it in terms of roles, right? So we have many different roles that we play in our lives. Maybe one of them is I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a mother, I'm a spouse, all of these different roles. And maybe one of those is I'm an artist or I'm a creative person. And in this role, this is part of what I do and how I might be recognized or maybe even judged, but I also have all of these other very important roles and important aspects of who I am. And so to not let just one of those roles really define me as a human, but to keep in mind that, I'm very complex and have, many different roles so that I can avoid the pitfalls of feeling defeated if perhaps my work is not accepted to something that I might have submitted it to. And I think that, to sort of to be able to not take that terribly personally is something that I recognize is not necessarily an easy thing to do, but to think that whoever's looking for whatever they're looking for, maybe my piece of work is not quite right for that particular situation, but it doesn't necessarily have to reflect on the work itself.
Right, that's wonderful. So obviously, constant rejection can really erode self-esteem. Um, you know, how does that basically how would you help people who, are feeling rejected and stuff like that?
Yeah, again, I think that, I think of like a model, right? A model who goes on many, many different um, casting calls, say an actor going on casting calls or a model looking for, work. And I think that the people who are casting are looking for a very specific look to fill a very specific need. And maybe my look didn't fill that need that that person needed for that particular um, piece, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a judgment of me and myself. So I think being able to sort of not take that quite personally and looking at it more in the context of filling a need. And those characteristics might not be characteristics that I have, but I have characteristics that might fill a different need. So to try not to take that personally, and I recognize that that's not always easy to do. I think it probably helps the more experience we gain in that, and sometimes feeling as though we didn't get something that we wanted, but other times we do get selected. So more experience, I think, probably makes that a little bit easier to stomach.
Yeah, for sure. So, what types of mental health issues are you currently seeing in Saddleback?
Saddleback students are, very diverse in terms of student population. So we see a wide range of concerns. I think for the most part, we're seeing a lot of anxiety. And I think that's sort of in keeping with mental health in general in the world right now. A lot of anxiety, some depression. We're seeing adjustment disorders, if you will, adjusting to constant changes in terms of vaccine requirements and masking requirements, and changes in the pandemic and variants and things like that. And I think that we've endured a lot of uncertainty and fear, and some of us even some loss and some grief over the past few years. And um, I think that for people who were struggling with mental health concerns before the pandemic, I think in many cases the pandemic just sort of exacerbated those. And now that we're sort of transitioning from a pandemic to sort of more like an endemic, right? As we're being told, then, again, it's an adjustment to that as well. And some uncertainty as to, what's coming next. We've endured a lot in the last couple of years, and it's created a lot of anxiety. And I think that that's, human. That's what we're seeing here at Saddleback College. That's what we're seeing in mental health in general. And I'm so very grateful that we have the resources available to the students that we do have.
Yeah. So the last question we have is, where can students go to get help?
Absolutely. So, Saddleback College Student Health and Wellness Center is on campus, and we are located in the Student Services Center building, the SSC building on the main quad. We have both medical and psychological health services, as well as social services, things to address student needs such as food and housing insecurities. We are offering those services both in person and via telehealth. And for students who might need a higher level of care or certain types of services that we are unable to provide through the college, we have many resources in the community, and that's part of what we do, is to help get students connected with resources both on and off campus.
That's amazing. Well, awesome. Thank you so much for coming on and, helping people. I definitely think mental health and, just it's very important, and it's important to get help when you need it. And so it's awesome that we have people like you here at Saddleback who can help us and to, let people know that there is help when they need it.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll
Same to you. Bye bye.